Have you ever wondered why 97% of people fail with affirmations, yet there is a method that has created more millionaires in history than any other? Most people fail completely with affirmations because they're missing the most crucial component, the emotional connection. You're already programming your subconscious 24 hours a day. The question is whether you're doing it accidentally or on purpose. In just 25 minutes, you'll discover the exact 5-minute daily scientific protocol that can completely reprogram your trajectory to success. Not empty affirmations, a 3-step method validated by neuroplasticity. Most people repeat hollow affirmations hoping for magical results. But there is a crucial difference between repetition and subconscious programming, a difference that modern neuroscience is finally able to explain. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying more than 500 of the world's most successful individuals, including Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. He discovered a pattern that changed everything: the power of autosuggestion. And today, decades later, modern neuroscience confirms every word Hill wrote in 1937. Through functional MRI scans, we can literally see how this method rewires the brain in just 5 minutes a day. Hill called this the technique that has made more millionaires than any other method known to man. And now, let me show you exactly how this works in your brain. Let's start with something revolutionary. In just 5 minutes, you can literally rewire neural circuits that took decades to form. Neuroplasticity research shows that when you combine specific language with emotionally charged visualization, your brain increases production of BDNF, a protein that promotes the growth of new neurons and strengthens synaptic connections. Dr. Joe Dispenza demonstrated through fMRI scans that when you practice emotionally charged visualization, the reward centers of your brain are activated in the same way as if you were experiencing the real event. This means your brain cannot distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined experiences. Hill intuited this in 1937, but only now do we have the technology to prove it scientifically. Think of it this way. If I asked you to vividly imagine biting into a sour lemon, your mouth would probably start salivating right now. Your brain responds to something that doesn't exist here. That is exactly the power Hill discovered, and you can use it to reprogram your financial future. But wait, you need to know exactly why 97% of people fail before I reveal the 3 components that make all the difference. Because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you view affirmations. Here's something that will blow your mind. There's a specific scientific reason why 97% of people fail with affirmations, and it isn't what you think. There are 3 key components that make this technique work, and if you miss even one, the method fails completely. Most people try to use affirmations, but they're missing the ingredient that ties it all together, the emotional bridge that turns hollow repetition into powerful programming. So what exactly are these 3 components that make the difference? Let me break this down for you step by step. The first component is the written goal. Hill discovered that there is a profound difference between thinking about your objectives and writing them down on paper. Modern neuroscience confirms when you write by hand, you activate your brain's reticular activating system, the filter that determines which information deserves your conscious attention. The second component, and this is where most fail, is emotional intensity. Hill said, the words must be emotionally charged with belief. It's not enough to repeat words. You need to feel the truth of what you're saying. When you combine language with authentic emotion, you create what neuroscientists call state-dependent consolidation. Memories tied to specific emotional states become more accessible when you recreate those states. The third component is visualization as a bridge to action. Hill called this feeding your imagination to create defined action plans. Olympic athletes use this same technique. They don't just visualize success, they visualize the exact path to get there. This is fundamentally different from daydreaming. It's future-oriented programming. Here's something that will change your perspective. Your brain can't distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. When you visualize with enough sensory details and emotional intensity, you are literally creating future memories that your brain uses as templates for decisions in the present. Now, here's something that might shock you. You're already using this technique without knowing it, but in the wrong way. And that's been sabotaging your results for years. Now that you understand the science behind the method, it's time to give you the exact formula. But before that, I need to warn you about something that might be disturbing. What you'll learn in the next few minutes could be unsettling because you'll realize how many opportunities you've missed by not knowing this sooner. With that warning in mind, let's break down Hill's exact 3-step formula that you can start applying today. Step 1, the meta-writing protocol. Hill was specific. Write on a piece of paper the exact amount of money you want to accumulate. Name the time limit for your accumulation. Declare what you intend to give in exchange for this money, and clearly describe the plan by which you intend to accumulate it. But here's the secret that transformed the lives of hundreds of Hill's clients. When you use your own voice, when you hear your own voice saying these words, something magical happens. Your brain recognizes authority in your own voice in a way it never will recognize in an external voice. It's like the difference between hearing a stranger giving you advice versus hearing your own conscience guiding you. When you hear your own voice speaking your goals, it's as if you're giving direct orders to the CEO of your subconscious. And this CEO, he only obeys authentic commands, not weak suggestions. Hill discovered that people who only thought the words faltered in 90% of cases, but those who spoke aloud, the success rate of 87%. The formatting matters. Write in the first person, present tense as if it were already true, not I will have, but I am or I have. This programs your subconscious to recognize this reality as familiar, not as something distant in the future. And now comes the part that separates winners from dreamers, because without this next component, you're just talking to the wind. Step 2, the emotional intensity component. This is where the magic happens. When you read your statement, you need to feel the emotion of having already achieved your goal. Hill emphasized emotionally charged with belief. This is the crucial difference between empty repetition and powerful programming. How do you generate authentic emotion? Use all of your senses. If your goal is financial success, how would you physically feel having that amount? What would the relief be? The security? The gratitude? What door would open in your life? What impact could you have on your family? The key is sensory specificity. Not just I would feel good, but I would feel the muscles in my chest expanding with confidence, my posture straightening, a natural smile forming on my face. The more sensory specific, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Imagine Thomas Edison in your laboratory. When he visualized the lamp working, he didn't just see light. He felt the warmth of the discovery in his chest. He heard the hum of electricity. He imagined the smell of the laboratory at the moment of success. That sensory specificity is what turned 1,000 failures into a worldwide revolution. Step 3, the visualization bridge. Hill discovered that effective visualization isn't about seeing perfect mental images. It's about creating the bridge between vision and action. When you visualize your goal achieved, your brain automatically begins to identify the steps needed to get there. Olympic athletes don't just visualize crossing the finish line, they visualize every step of the race, every movement, every breath. Likewise, after visualizing your goal achieved, ask your subconscious, what specific steps do I need to take today to move toward this reality? Hill called this feeding the imagination to create defined action plans. It's not daydreaming, it's action-oriented programming. Your subconscious will begin to present ideas, opportunities, and connections you never noticed before. Here's what happened with one of Hill's clients. Using this exact technique, he manifested new clients, a new outline for a book, and a new car, all in 30 days. Not by magic, but because his subconscious mind was now programmed to recognize and act on opportunities that had always been there. But here's what no one tells you. Even knowing these 3 steps, 80% of people still fail. Why? Because they make a fatal mistake in the implementation. Let me show you exactly how to avoid this trap. Now that you've seen how this works in real-world practice, I'm going to show you exactly how to integrate these 3 steps into your daily routine. Hill originally recommended 30 minutes of practice, but modern adaptations show that 5 minutes of focused, emotionally charged practice yields equivalent results. The key isn't duration, it's intensity and consistency. Here's something fascinating. NASA astronauts use exactly these same time windows for mental programming before space missions. Why? Because in those moments, your brain is naturally receptive, like an unlocked smartphone, ready to install new apps. Here's the 5-minute daily protocol. Reserve 2.5 minutes in the morning right after you wake up and 2.5 minutes in the evening before sleep. Why these times? Because your brain is naturally in the alpha state, the ideal state for subconscious programming. Morning, read your written statement aloud. Generate the emotions of having already achieved. Visualize for 30 seconds. Then ask, what specific action can I take today? Pay attention to the first answer that comes to mind. Night, the same process, but finish by asking, how can I better prepare to recognize opportunities tomorrow? Your subconscious will process this while you sleep. The micro habit that makes this permanent, tie it to something you already do. After brushing your teeth in the morning and after placing your phone on the nightstand at night, small rituals create big transformations. Now, what happens when you actually do this? Get ready for a transformation that will surprise you because the results come faster than you think. Carlos, a 42-year-old engineer, documented his transformation week by week. Week 1, my inner voice changed from, it's not going to work, to let's see what happens. Week 2, I started noticing opportunities that have always been there. Week 3, I found myself saying yes to things that used to scare me. Week 4, 3 new clients showed up out of nowhere, or better, I finally recognized them. The metrics of success to monitor: changes in the quality of your inner conversations, growing clarity about your next steps, and this is crucial, reduction in your resistance to taking action. When you're programmed for success, action becomes natural, not forced. Consider this: the same amount of time you spend scrolling social media could completely reprogram your path to success. 5 minutes, twice a day, to rewire decades of limiting programming. You might be thinking, that sounds too simple. And that's where most people stumble. Let me show you the most common mistakes that prevent people from succeeding with this method. But beware. There's a specific reason why intelligent people like you fail with this method, and it's something so simple that you'll be astonished you didn't notice it sooner. The biggest mistake is trying to use affirmations without the emotional component. Repeating "I am rich" 1,000 times without feeling the emotion of abundance is like trying to drive a car without fuel. The engine is the words, but the emotion is the fuel. Second mistake: inconsistency in pursuing intensity. Hill discovered that 5 minutes daily for 30 days outweigh 2 hours once a week. Your subconscious responds to consistent repetition, not to sporadic intense sessions. Third mistake: not building belief gradually through small wins. Start with goals that stretch you, but that you can genuinely believe in. As you see results, your confidence in the method grows, allowing bigger goals. Fourth mistake: not personalizing the language. Use words that resonate specifically with you. If abundance doesn't move you, use financial freedom or security. The language needs to trigger your specific emotional response. Now that you know both the method and the mistakes to avoid, the question left is this: is your subconscious mind waiting for your instructions? What are you going to program it with? You've just received exactly what I promised at the start: Napoleon Hill's complete scientific method that has created more millionaires than any other known technique. In 25 minutes, you've mastered what Hill spent 20 years studying 500 extraordinary people to discover. You now have the exact 5-minute protocol, the 3 scientific components, and the 30-day schedule. The question isn't whether you have the tools, you already have everything. Now we come to the most important moment of this entire video. Everything you learned in the last 25 minutes is only valuable if you act. Hill discovered that 97% of the people who learn this technique never implement it. Not because it doesn't work, but because they treat knowledge as entertainment. The 3% who act are the ones who transform their lives. Will you be part of the 97% or the 3%? Your brain is now in the perfect state for programming. The next 10 minutes offer a unique neurological window. The neuroplasticity that was activated by watching this video will begin to diminish in 15 minutes. That's why Hill always stressed immediate action after learning. If you wait until tomorrow, your mental resistance will rebuild the barriers we just broke. This is your neurological opportunity window. Here's exactly what to do now. 1. Pause this video at this moment. 2. Grab a pen and paper, not your phone. 3. Write your statement using Hill's exact format. I will accumulate exact amount by specific date in exchange for service value through the following plan. Describe in 2 to 3 lines. 4. Read aloud with emotion for 2 minutes. 5. Come back here and comment. Declaration made. This creates social accountability that multiplies your results. Do not continue watching other videos until you complete these 5 steps. Your subconscious is waiting for your decision in the next 60 seconds.